We're gonna start. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry we got delayed due to technical problems, but I hope everything will work out. We're in different places in the world. So again, thank you for joining us. This session is part of the online content program of Photo Israel's 8th International Photography Festival, which is currently taking place in Tel Aviv as a huge outdoor exhibition. My name is Maya Aner, and I'm the festival's chief curator and also the curator of the exhibition and project. The exhibition of the project that we will discuss today. Before we begin, I really want to thank Dorota, Camila, and Pavel, and everyone at the Adam Mickiewicz Institute in Poland for supporting us in realizing this project. And I'm happy to introduce our speakers for this evening. Maksymilian Rigamonti.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
He's a photographer, was born in Warsaw in 1974. He studied graphic design at ASP in Lodz. He's worked for various news magazines in Poland. He's a member of Press Club Polska and ZPAF. In 2012, his photo won Picture of the Year in the Grand Press Photo Competition. He received a scholarship from the Polish Ministry of Culture for the year 2014. He's nominee for the Leica Oscar Barnett Award in 2014, among many other awards. And since this year is ambassador for Fujifilm in Poland. Magdalena Rigamonti, Polish press and radio journalist. She's the winner of many journalistic awards in Poland, among them the Grand Press Award in the interview category in 2016. And she's published 5 books. And also joining us is Jaroslav Wlodarczyk, a Polish journalist, media advisor, head of the Press Club Polska, and the publisher of the book Echo, which we will discuss today. So the photo book Echo was awarded honorable mention by the International Photography Award in 2018, the photo book of the year 2018 in Grand Press Photo, and photography book of the year 2018 by 76th Annual Picture of the Year International. The book has been transformed into an exhibition for the first time in our festival. I must say that the first time that I've seen the book a year ago, I was really impressed. It was something I've never seen before. It's a beautiful book. I'm very happy to be working with these talented artists and to have curated an exhibition out of this book. And I'll be very happy to hear what you have to say. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Young artist, you have forgotten to say.
Of course.
Yes, I will start. I will start my short video about a book.
Na Wołyniu zobaczyłem absolutną pustkę i zobaczyłem nieopowiedzianą historię.
Zostało tylko echo. Wszystko inne zniknęło. Wsie, szkoły, kościoły. I ludzie. 60, 70, może 100 tysięcy. Nawet nie ma jak policzyć.
Na Wołyniu
It's a very short fragment of our film about the book Echo. We are working on during 5 years. It was a absolutely wonderful time to discover land and atmosphere of the land. the land contaminated with death. And thanks Jarosław Wodaczyk and Press Club Polska, we are able to get there for the first time in November 2013. My first expression told me I have to return and to return there again. So I did this for 16 times. Jarosław, it was a journalistic journey at the time. You were the leader of the idea. What's your impression of that specific particular journey?
Thank you so much for invitation, Maya. And I'm very happy that we've got this exhibit in this year, Photo Israel. And I just to give a brief summary of the background to the viewers, Volhynia Massacre in 1943, that was a genocide which happened during Second World War, that was not part of the Nazi operations, that was not a part of the Holocaust, which happened earlier, a year or 2 years earlier, where Jewish neighbors disappeared. Then Polish neighbors disappeared, slaughtered by Ukrainian nationalist uprising army. So that was the second genocide on that land in the time of 2 or 3 years during wartime. And we, in 2013, what Maksymilian mentioned, we made a journalist visit to this empty land, empty because not too many people are living there. And it's indeed like a forgotten land. And we went there because there was a coming anniversary of 17th anniversary of that massacre, which was a few months of the regular daily genocide of 1,200 villages in that neighborhood with about 100,000 victims. And few reportages, few materials were produced that time. And one person decided to make a long-term project, this Maksymilian. So as he mentioned, he returned there dozen of times, and then a book was produced, and Press Club Polska, Polish Press Club, is a publisher of both editions. We had a first edition, which was awarded Pictures of the Year International, the best photo book of the year, and then we decided to have the second edition, which is almost the same except extra poster, but simply the first edition was sold out. This is the book only of 500 copies, the first edition and the same second edition. And what is amazing that we have the first exhibit of this work in Israel, which is very important to all of us, to Magdalena, to Maksymilian. Magdalena, by the way, is the author of texts. Apart, she's wife of Maksymilian, she's also author of the book. And I think we are very interested how it will be, how people will read it, the story, because the Israel and Jewish society with this horrible experience of Holocaust, you understand more than others the genocides. So that's very interesting. What will be reactions of visitors of Photo Israel?
Yes. First of all, we wanted to get the book very universal. The whole project is consisted of photography, of course, and text. Text is very important to get the viewers the opportunity to emerge in the story. And I wanted, of course, that Magda will do her job very well. And Magda, tell a little bit about the text.
Hello everyone. Maya, thank you for invitation. Thank you that we are part of a very important event, very important exhibition in Israel, Photo Israel. Thank you again. And I would like to tell how we looked for a language to tell this horrible story. Maximilian and I, because Maximilian looked for photographic language, and I looked for a language to write this. I had one or maybe more than 1 year to find this language, and I realized and I figured out that it must be very short, 4, 6, maybe 8 lines, stories about every place, about every map, and about every moment in this story. We know that 1,200 places completely disappeared from the map during 3 or 4 months, 1943, and we choose 12 places, and I had to write 12 stories. And for a moment, I tried to read one. There is nowhere to escape to, nowhere to hide. The forest is distant and the road far. Or one could run uphill and then downhill through the rolling countryside and pray. It was very difficult to me to write this text. I was afraid that I'm journalist, not a poet, and I was afraid of how to tell this story without, how to say, Jarek, graphomania, without. Oh.
I don't have idea, but not to make it pretending it's poetry or how to not to make a text pretending something. I would say.
I had an idea that every text must be like a hammer, hammer which punch our heads and to provoke to thinking about death, about neighbors, about our relationships, and about war also, and also about that one moment is enough mm, to start a war, to start a genocide. Maximilian, thank you.
5 years. The idea was at the first place, then 16 travels. Then we have to get the idea how to tell it, and after that we have to gather the financial things to build some prototype and look if the prototype is working. The whole production. I love very some very long projects because of the possibility uh, to do 2 steps forward and to get one behind. Um, it's a very sensitive body you're working on, and the important value of that book is to commemorate the victims. 100,000 people who disappeared and still laying in that ground. It was for me absolutely important.
We realized that the whole land is like a cemetery, and without graves, um, without monuments, without information about victims. And I think our book is like monument, like kind of monument.
I would just also add, which I think is important for viewers to understand, that this story is in many aspects not told in Poland or worldwide, because during communist times, after Second World War till 1989, it was almost forbidden to speak about it, because that was done by our brothers from communist bloc from Ukraine. So that's one aspect, that the story is not present in the common understanding or common knowledge of history, even in Poland, which now is changing, but still. And the second thing is that the problem with the topic is that, as a title of the book and the motto on the Echo reminds, there are no physical signs of this genocide. Nothing left there. There are no these villages, only empty fields. So that was also the big difficulty, and how to tell this story. And Maximilian did it very well, and Magda wrote the story very well, and it's very, as you Maya said, it's touching and it's surprising. The form, the design, the pictures itself, and text. So I very recommend anybody who is watching us to go to in Tel Aviv to see the exhibit on Photo Israel, because I think it's worth of doing, and how we can say the difficult history, the tragic moments of history through art, through design, text, how to open discussion, not to not to giving answers. It's rather raising questions, opening the sensitivity of people, but not accusing anyone. It's rather the artistic perspective than any statement.
One of our friends, who is chief of a foreign correspondent club in New Delhi, who is born Syrian, I suppose, Jarek.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah. You know, he never heard about Volyn. And as we are at the phase of prototype, I have shown him this kind of book. And he told me, you know, the story is so universal. It could be the story of our problems between India and Pakistan. And at that time, I was absolutely sure I'm on the right way in form and visual things. After Magda was ready with the text, it has worked. And I'm very, very glad and happy to get the possibility to show my work in Israel. Thank you, Maya.
Sure, thank you. I just want to say that I want to ask the audience, if you want to ask questions, you can write them in the chat. I see that someone already asked and that you answered, but I don't think in this webinar that people see the chat. So I'll just say that they were asked if the book is available for purchase in Israel. Maximilian said that it's available online. We really wanted to have books in the festival, but because we aren't, you know, there is no, because of the situation, then we can't be there and sell books. So it's all available online. And while we wait also for questions, okay, good, you're showing the book. So I really encourage anyone who's seen the exhibition to ask questions, because I know people react very strongly to it. I've heard many people, you know, were very emotional about it. I think it has to do with the Holocaust. But also in general, I think it's a very touching project, as I said before. I did want to ask you myself if you had any discussions with the people living there now. What do they have to say about, you know, because you do take a lot of photos of people.
You know, the whole story had happened nearly 80 years ago. There are very few people who are living now, but one of the victims is most important, most known Polish astronaut. He, as a very small child, was thrown away from the mother, who was shot on the head. We especially visited that place, who called the village of Lipniki. All of the people we are met, their whole life was impressed by the story. And we wanted to get some roadmap to the atmosphere, to the history, and to our social and historical sensibility to that book. It's not important how and what the people said. It's important what we have felt during the process. And yeah.
But one of old lady who Maximilian met on the completely empty field in Volhynia. was okay. I try to read. Sophia, then hesitantly, she says that no, she's Zośka, that she came from a Polish family, that her husband was Ukrainian, that her brother-in-law was in the UPA. She says she remembers everything. She remembers that field. UPA was a Ukrainian insurgent army. We are journalists, but our behavior during our journey wasn't journalistic behavior. We didn't knock to Ukrainians people doors and asked about what do you know about Volhynia Massacre? What did you remember what happened 75 years ago? It wasn't our idea, and we talked only to people who we met during the journey. We talked only with Sofia, Zośka, who Maksymilian met on the field, or we talked to quite old lady who we met in the Ukrainian village, but she said, hello, what are you doing here? And after these words, we started to talk with to her.
Yeah, a question. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Sorry. I have a question that was sent to me. So somebody asked if you think there is any connection between the disappearance of the Jews and the massacre of the Poles by the Ukrainians 2 years later. If you think there is any connection.
If I can say, if we are not historians, so it's hard to answer. Is there any connection? For sure, there is a connection in sense of the nationalism and the attitude that other people, because of the hate, cannot live. So this is this parallelity, but from the political or historical or sociological perspective, I mean, there are experts on it. We didn't search what is the, I mean, on Volhynia territory, there were Jewish villages as well, but particularly summer 1943, the Jewish villages were already empty because the inhabitants of these villages were taken by Nazi and Ukrainians, because we have to remember that Ukrainians were in Nazi army. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them voluntary, because they were thinking that this is the way how to resurrect the independent state of Ukraine. But there are no proofs that there were the same people or different people who were responsible for both genocides.
But but in this time, the Ukrainians, they hated Jews, Poles, Dutch, and also Czech. Every person who wasn't Ukrainian.
And what did you hope to achieve through this project? What do you hope to achieve? of the project?
To read book, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh, First of all, we wanted to start some discussion to get the discussion easier way to start, and we wanted to, there are many books about Volhynia, books with letters to read, but at the time as we started, no one knew where Volhynia is on the map physically. Everyone who I asked, hey, where is Volhynia? They took the fingers and showed some signs on the map. And through our activity, through the publishing of the book, with the help of Press Club Polska, I think we are two or maybe more shorts narrower to get the people the chance to know something about phone. I believe.
When we were in United States last year, and we met with students and journalists too, we heard that this is a story about genocide in United States, genocide by origin inhabitants in the United States. And I was sure after that we have absolutely universal story, and in every places in the world the story return and
Ask Jarek.
So and the story repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats, and this is our book is kind of mantra, maybe kind of subject that you have to stop and think about relationships. No?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also got a question. I think you mentioned that. I also wanted to know that before, because I think you said that you started the project because you came there, what, on like a journalist tour, like you were invited there as journalists, or did you have any personal connection to the place, or can you say a little more about that?
No, the press club is sometimes making. I mean, we are like the same like Jerusalem Press Club. We do what our members want. So we organized a trip, took a microbus with about 10 journalists because anniversary was coming, the 17th anniversary, and we made a trip. We've made a fundraising and then a trip on our own, without any official invitation from the Ukrainian side or whatever. And we made a trip. We spent a few days in this empty land and meeting with some people, including son of the general of the Ukrainian uprising army who was making order to start this genocide. and was responsible for that. So we met his son. He already passed away. He was member of Ukrainian parliament as well recently after the Maidan revolution. And this is very complicated history for Ukrainians as well. We met the chief of the Historical Institute of Ukraine, and he was denying that it happened as a coordinated genocide. He said that that was a number of accidents which somehow happened at the same time. But he said that there is no written order for it, for instance. Then we reminded him that there is no indeed a written order for Holocaust as well, which is not questioning what happened during Second World War with Jews. So that's. But anyway, it's a difficult history for sure, especially now when a lot of Ukraine is supporting the far right movements, which are somehow not connected but inspired by the former history of this uprising army. So it was initiative of the press club and Magdalena and Maksymilian were in the both members of this 10 people trip, but also the initiators of the topic. And that's from time to time we support journalists to do new topics or topics they're interested in. And when you're working in the daily newspaper or television, you don't have too much time or resources to do it because you've got daily news or weekly. So then we support quality journalism in this way to have the to enable to make opportunity to make bigger projects.
Okay, thank you. So before we end, do you have anything you want to add? Any of you?
I'm sorry that we cannot be in Tel Aviv and to see the exhibit. That's a pity.
Yeah.
But I hope people who are in Israel and in Tel Aviv will use this opportunity. Some people ask if we can show more pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to see more pictures, of course, you can go to Maksymilian website or to see the film, which I linked in the text and which is on YouTube. But also the best way is to see the exhibit because it's also very unique and what is also special about this exhibit is amazing curator of this exhibit. Maya is a curator, being chief of the Photo Israel, artistic chief. So it's making really. I mean, when we discussed with Maksymilian and Magda how it's done, it couldn't be better, and it's really you touch the essence of the book, the discovery, the map, because a book is a map itself. And it's very exactly what was the essence of the idea of the book and the whole project.
Thank you.
Well said, Jaroslav.
Thank you very much. Really, it was. I think it's a very important project and also artistically unique. And I encourage anyone who's in Israel and hasn't seen it to come see it. And I hope we will be able to meet and show it again in different formats. And I also encourage anyone who can to buy the book. I have it here, and I think really, really unique. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Maya.
everyone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Here, people are saying things, so you can see. Congratulations, seems beautiful, very interesting, and I'm sure they'll delve into your website now as well. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye bye. Bye.
Bye bye.